Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, please, Jim.
Wayne Brown, Kay Harrison. Here. Mike Parker, Roger Tone,
Here.
Jim Snyder.
Hi, Jim, you're muted.
We see you. We know you're here.
Yeah, he's here. Okay, consent agenda, need approval of the February 16th minutes.
Move for approval of the February 16th minutes.
Jim, I need a second.
Jim, can you hear us?
Yes, I second. I had myself muted and didn't realize it.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim. All right, consent agenda accepted. Well, roll call, please.
Kay Harrison,
Yes.
Roger Tone,
Yes.
Jim Snyder.
Yes.
Jim, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm having a little trouble with background noise inside the meeting room there, so it's kind of garbled.
Wonder if we can change the microphone a little bit, reposition it.
Yeah, you're real clear when you're talking, but other people are kind of distorted and voices bounce around.
Is it because these are pointed at the mic?
Oh, that could be.
Is that better?
Yeah,
Okay.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks for letting us know that too, so we can work on it. Okay, next is a public hearing for ordinance 22-01, an ordinance to amend Title 4 of the Road Valley Sewer Services Code. And do I do the public, open the public hearing first?
Do we, I think we do the public hearing first, you open it and we hear any comments that come from the public. And then we vote on the adoption.
Okay. So I open the public hearing. If anyone wants to speak, please clearly give their names and addresses and spelling of their last name prior to giving a statement. Please direct all questions and statements to the manager. And we request that those in support speak first, and those opposing will have an opportunity to speak second or next.
Okay, I don't know if there's anybody online that
It doesn't look like.
intends to speak. All the phone calls are coming from inside the building.
So should I,
Now we close the public hearing.
okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and close the public hearing because we have no public available at this time. So the public hearing is closed.
Now we entertain a motion to
And
adopt the ordinance.
I would like a motion to adopt ordinance 22-01.
second.
So it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Kay Harrison,
Yes,
Roger Tone,
Yes.
Jim Snyder.
Yes,
thank
Okay,
you. That's good. Then we got that done. And next is resolution 2204, an award of a bid for J178 Murphy Road Pump Station abandonment.
okay, that'll be a Nick question.
Right. So, J178, Brophy Pump Station abandonment. Just a quick recap. This project will abandon existing Brophy pump station and reroute the flow to the new pump station that was put in with the Flycaster Place development, which was sized specifically for this reason. So we received 2 bids. And if you scroll down, the bids are on the next sheet, along with some other info. So you got your average and then my estimate. My estimate was pretty close. We're a little under, but in this market, that's well within tolerance. We're pretty close. So the lowest bid was Pilot Rock Excavation, as you can see, with a bid of $309,685. And we are asking that the board approve the award of the bid.
I would like a motion, please.
Motion to approve resolution 2204. award For abandonment of road pump.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jim. It's been moved and second. Roll call, please.
Kate Harrison,
Yes,
Rosenthal,
Yes,
Jim Snyder,
Yes,
thank you. Next, we have easement extinguishment for J340.
Okay. So we actually have 2 of them here, but we'll do one at a time here. The first one here is the Talent Estates Mobile Home Park. And that's an area that got burned in a fire. And when we went through part of our rebuilding, we relocated where the sewer main was. It went through that property. And so we no longer need the easement. They've given us an easement for where the sewer main is now. And then the old one that's been abandoned, we don't need the easement there. So this would vacate that easement. And we use the word extinguishment because that's what the attorney tells us to use. It seems weird, but
So does that go back into the property?
yeah, it just erases the easement. So there's no longer any encumbrance
Okay.
at that location.
That's what I thought.
The exhibits are shown below. If you wanted to,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so you can kind of make out what's going on there. They're not too detailed as these exhibits go, but. So that is the old one.
uh-huh.
And
Fine.
that is the new one.
Okay.
are we allowing the property owner to pay for the cost associated with the extinguishment?
No, we're going to cover that
Why?
because they gave us a new easement to replace the old one.
That was a good question.
Do you want the background, Roger?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I want the money.
It's like $30.
So the old easement, this would be nice of the aerial, but the old sewer location, this line had actually been, it was an old concrete line that had been lined. And then it was, even though it was lined, it's still in really rough shape. And it had a ton of infiltration, and it was actually running down between 2 rows of trailers. So it wasn't in the access way. We had no way to access it, and we had no way to replace it if they placed those trailers back in there. And so it was, when the fire burned through, it gave us the opportunity to get in there and relocate it. But to relocate it, we needed the new easement in the new location, which the owner didn't really have any benefit really to do that at all, because they already had sewer and they already had access. So they kind of, it was I guess a trade for the new easement.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Nick.
Okey dokey.
Did we vote on that one?
So,
We didn't even move it yet. We went into discussion before we
Oh.
got to.
Okay.
So I'll move for approval of extinguishment for J340.
it's been moved and I need a second.
second.
Thank you, Jim. Roll call, please.
Kay Harrison,
Yes,
Roger Trump,
Yes.
Jim Snyder,
Yes,
thank you. Okay, next is the easement extinguishment for the Burford Road pump station.
Yeah, so this is we just awarded the contract for that. And what we're doing with this project is we're actually abandoning a pump station and installing a gravity line to direct all the waste out of that area. So the easement that we're abandoning is where the old force main is. And they've given us another easement to where the new gravity line is going to be, and we already have that. So again, it's a straight trade. We're getting rid of a bad piece of pipe, and we're getting a good piece of pipe in a different location. So we need a separate easement and to get rid of the old one.
It shows that it doesn't cost us anything.
Right. Except for the recording fees.
All right. I need a motion for this one as well.
So it's not just a pump station, it's an easement line. It's a lot of easement line in addition to just the location of the pump station.
Right, yeah, it's the force main also coming out of there. So this area, I might be able to pull up a map on the. This is the area in Shady Cove. Let me. I can pull up a. Okay, what am I trying to do here? I can pull up an aerial map and show you kind of a better representation of what's happening.
Well, you've already got the new
Oh,
easement in place, you've got a place to go. I thought it was gonna be a 20 by 20 box.
no, it's,
And
okay. I have well, I don't know what I did there.
it's still loading.
I mean, I see it on the plan. so.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I mean, so the pump station's going away, the force main's going away. And what we're replacing it with is a gravity line coming out of the development there. And it's all going to drain. There's a new pump station was built nearby. And so everything's going to drain into that new pump station. So we're not completely we're not getting fewer pump stations net because there's a new one built and the old one's going away.
Being replaced.
All right, I will move for approval of extinguishment for the easement for the Brophy Road pump station.
Motion has been made. We need a second.
second,
Thank you, Jim. Roll call, please.
Kay Harrison,
Yes.
Roger Trump,
Yes.
Jim Snyder,
yes,
Thank you. Jim, are you still having a hard time hearing us?
there's still a little bit of garble if it's not our illustrious general manager talking. It's like
Is
it taking off?
background noise echo, but not being baffled.
I'm just wondering if it's picking up off my computer and not the. Yeah, I think that's what's happening is it's taking the microphone off the computer and not that one. Let me try to change something real quick here.
Oh, that might be better. It's a steady red light now.
Yeah, it's not blinking.
Ah. Okay,
Jim, can you hear us now?
Yeah, somewhat.
is it any different?
Somebody else say something.
Okay, has it changed? Is it better?
Yeah, it's a little bit better now.
Okay,
Okay,
and we'll try to talk
Yeah.
more distinctly too. Sometimes I don't do that. Okay, now we're ready for project updates.
that's Nick.
That's you, Nick.
Yep, okay. West Glenwood Pump Station rehab, we are waiting for equipment. We double checked with the vendor and, you know, in this environment, you just kind of at the whim of when you get things. It sounds like the panels that we need for these specific grinder pumps are out quite some time. And so we'll be getting those within hopefully the month, but it's kind of dicey at this point. Shady Cove Pump Station number 6, that's the same type of project. We'll move on that later in the year. Brophy Pump Station abandonment, this we just discussed. It's been awarded. We're happy about that. We'll get on. I do know the contractor is itching to get that done, and so are we. And luckily, the contractor we've worked with quite a few times, and they've already ordered their manholes. So in anticipation, which I appreciated quite a bit. That way, we don't have a issue in the future if they can't get their manholes in time, and then we've got contract extensions and so on. So they're being proactive, which is good. Shady Cove Pump Station number 2 rehab. That one, there's we're doing a whole lot of other things right now with budgeting and things. A couple other projects, all these other projects we're working on. So that one's hope to get working on that in time to have a DEQ approval to have that constructed this summer. That's the plan. J279 8th and Cherry Street sewer replacement. We went out, we did some potholing on this. This was a very, very small project, which has turned into a small project. So we had to extend the scope on this slightly because of the elevations that we found once our guys went out and potholed the existing sewer line. To catch grade, we'd have to run. By the time we caught grade, we'd be almost to the next manhole, and the existing pipe is in pretty rough shape. So we're just going to end up replacing that whole an additional 170 feet of pipe. So it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, but for this project, it's a big, fairly sizable, relatively large change. J332 Central Point Force Main Rehab.
Nick, Nick,
Yeah,
Roger had a question.
yeah. What's up?
What is this?
Central Point.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that's in Central Point. That's in an real old area of Central Point. Most of the sewer out there is old concrete line. Yeah, and so we've actually got a project on our capital plan that's well out into the future that we've identified that entire area to do some little pipe extensions and disconnect some shared services, and there's service lines running down the right of way. So to clean up that whole area, actually. So that'll be coming in the next couple of years.
Okay, thanks, Nick, because I know we've done some stuff. But I knew we had more work out there to do because it's a problem.
Yeah.
Area.
Yeah, this is actually on the edge of Hazel Street, which was a big project back in the day. And so
Yes.
this is just where they drew the line back in the day. And so this is one of those things we're just fixing there. It's a good project for our guys to do. It's kind of a slam dunk.
Cool.
J332 Central Point Force Main Rehab. This one's done, all but just a couple tiny little punch list items. Getting the contractor to go out there to do them has been difficult. This is where the White Hawk or Willow Bend subdivision is going in out off of Gephardt. The contractor, I just know because I know them well, they were anticipating they were going to get that private development and they didn't. So they were waiting to do it when they mobilized to construct the private development. So we just need to light a fire under them to get out there and do it at this point. So done pump station replacement. This is the best news I've heard in a long time is the contractor went out this week and completed the rest of the physical work that's required out there. Yep. So we are just verifying a few little punch list items for the electrical. We need our consultant to go out there and check in the panels to make sure that their subcontractor had completed those items, and hopefully we'll be able to sign this one off. And I've got a little, we actually, at the beginning of the project, we don't get a chance to show you guys what we do. I mean, you guys graciously approve us the funds for us to do some, pretty aggressive capital program, and we don't really get to show you some cool things that we do, because everything we do is not visual, it's just in the ground. But we ended up putting a couple time-lapse cameras in the pump station throughout construction. And so our new engineering tech, he's pretty savvy with software in general, and he stitched it all together and made a little video. So we'll show that here in just a minute.
You want to do it right now, or?
Yeah, we can do it right now. I was just gonna wrap it up with lagoons, but
I'm gonna turn off my screen share and you get yours turned on.
okay. Here is, yeah, this is gonna kill me. Let's try that for now. Try that again. There it is. Upstairs. I think that's the one I want. All right. Do you guys see the logo?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. I clicked. Hopefully the sound works this time.
oh, we got sound.
Those over to the right, those mushroom shaped things, those were the old motors. And this is the upstairs. Everything on the left is all the drives and electrical equipment. Those wheel pumps, old drives.
Cool.
The downstairs is better.
Yeah, that's where all the meat and the potatoes of everything is here.
Yeah.
Let's do that one. Oh, that didn't work.
Carl, I mean, for Zoom, is it somewhat difficult to share your screen?
Not too much. No, just a couple of clicks.
I've never done it on Zoom. We
Oh.
use Teams.
Yeah, I'm more familiar with Teams. I mean, with Zoom is easier for me than Teams. Yeah.
All right. Does it say downstairs on your screen now?
Yes.
All right.
That's the same song.
Yeah. Different sound, not the same soundtrack. That's what was playing there the whole time. We did have some difficulty with the contractor conveniently setting ladders and 2x4s and scaffolding in front of our camera though.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. So again, thanks for allowing us to do that. That's a checklist that'll last for quite a few years. So stop. There you go.
Okay.
And that's pretty much all I have. The lagoon project is still in process. We're hoping to get that wrapped up, get the contract put together this month and get it out to bid for summer construction. That's all I have for today.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you for the movie too. That was cool. I was out there once a long time ago, several years ago. I saw it.
Go out and look at it. It's quite a bit different now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's very cool for us. It's a big change. So, all right.
So just for the recording, just Mike Parker is here now. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike. Glad to have you.
I'm here physically. I'm
Okay.
never quite. Is it data on saving time now?
forever.
That must be the problem.
That's part of the problem, yeah.
She changed those spots.
All righty, so Mike is doing this, and now we're ready to do stormwater update. So Jenny,
All right, well, we did the title ordinance adoption already, so thanks for adopting that. And as Nick mentioned, we're moving forward with the lagoon project. So we have the final payment for the contractor on that, received the final report for the public enhancement portion of the project. And we're going to move forward with the construction is going to be part of the bid package that is being put together right now. The installation of the plants, that's part of the consultant's plan, would not be happening for another 12 months after completion of construction. And we're going to be going to the stakeholder advisory committee to hopefully have them obtain the funding for that. So RVS's, I guess, commitment to the project was for the design and construction. Well, we only paid a portion of the design. The stakeholders paid the majority of this design, but we're doing the construction, and then they would pay for the vegetation. Included in that plan that the consultant provided us are amenities such as walking trail, ADA accessibility, parking, and I think those are meant to be future additions to the facility. So that's just kind of where we are at this point with that project. I had to put this together quite a while ago and thought we might have an update on the Cummins Stormwater Facility project, but we don't. We're still kind of in a holding pattern, waiting to hear back from the City of Talent to move forward with that project at this point. On the Q014, the 7th Street Station stormwater project, that is where we're working with Mike Burrell on his property to locate a regional facility that would treat runoff from his property as well as a larger area. And we last week submitted the delineation report to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers as well as the Department of State Lands. And that's to get a determination from them on whether or not their drainage feature that runs through that property is in fact jurisdictional or not. And if those agencies decide to regulate that feature, then we'll have to go through potentially a permitting process. The timeline to get an answer from them on the jurisdiction is currently 6 months. So we're planning to move forward with putting together some permitting application documents this spring while the delineation is being reviewed. And our agreement with Mike Burrell for locating the facility on his property is that we would also facilitate his obtainment of a permit if needed for installation of a road crossing over the drainage facility. And I think that's all I have for you right now. But we do have a new technician who has started, I think since our last board meeting. So Alex Galuzzo is here now as the new stormwater technician.
Cool. We'll have to do a meet and greet or something.
Yes.
That'd be
Well,
cool.
we're having the first staff meeting in quite some time tomorrow, so you're welcome to come. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Ginny. And now O&M updates.
All right, good afternoon.
Hi, Shane.
Again, good. Hi, how are all of you?
We're all good, Shane.
Okay, you can't hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't
Okay.
see you ever.
Hey, the best part is hopefully next month we can all be together in the same room, huh?
We lost you.
Yeah, where'd you go?
I bet he's gonna come charging through the door here in a minute.
Maybe he's running to get here.
Am I back now?
Okay.
All right. All right. I gotta stop touching buttons. Okay. Again, business as usual. Last month, items of significance. Lagoons received 295,310 gallons of septage, 36,395 gallons of porta potty waste, and 24,465 gallons of fog for a total revenue of $53,425.50. Our special cleaning summary, 37 equipment hours and 85 labor hours were spent on special cleaning last month for a total cost of $6,510. Some outside work we did for ODOT. We video inspected the storm drain pipe on Interstate 5 at the Siskiyou Summit in the northbound shoulder off the side of the cliff up there. They had some issues with some potential erosion, and they were just wanted to verify there wasn't any holes in the storm drain pipe that could be causing that. So we did that work for them too. And as well, we had to prepare these pretty early this month, but we also, once they lateral launched about 30 service laterals as part of the Highway 140 project that were impacted by the actual east side widening of the road. So we just wanted to validate and verify and baseline all those service laterals to make sure going forward their current condition, and then after the project we can go back and make sure none of them were impacted as part of the project, because they had to take out a lot of trees and a lot of stumps over there, and running a lot of heavy equipment on those. So we spent some significant time out there doing that work, and also located it for them so we don't have to keep going out there and locating the service laterals in the course of the project out there. So, and other than that, everything was good. No issues with the pump stations. Building grounds, I have some street lamps out there, or parking lamps are going to be replaced. But again, as Nick spoke, we're at the mercy of being able to get parts and stuff. So nothing to report on update on that. And then lastly, we do have a truck that's lost its engine, and there are only 5 replacement engines in the whole United States, and none of those 5 dealerships were willing to give them to us. So we're in a holding pattern until we can get a new one from the factory. So
Which vehicle is this one, Shane? Lost the-
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What was that?
Which vehicle lost the engine?
It was our half-ton four-wheel drive pickup that we use for our main locator uses.
Okay.
It's not a surprise. I think it only has 140,000 miles on it. It's 7 years old, but it has over 10,000 hours. So that puts it in the conversion when you're talking about hours to miles at just shy of 400,000 miles of actual miles because of the idle time. And that's kind of what happened. We've had another vehicle that happened to where the idling time is so great that it flattens the camshaft inside the engine from just sitting there idling. So it's $6,000 to $7,000 to replace the camshaft and lifters, or it's $9,000 for a new engine, complete new engine. So obviously that makes sense. But if it goes on too long and we can't get it, we might end up having to do the camshaft and lifters in it. So I'll keep our fingers crossed in hopes that we can get an engine. We tried to muscle the 5 dealerships through our dealership using our government fleet vehicle status, and to no avail, unfortunately. So we hopes to get an electric vehicle to replace that. That was the goal, but those new vehicles are having the same issues with getting manufactured with chips and then battery stuff. So hopefully within the next couple of years we can get an electric vehicle for that, because currently he's been driving the Bolt. We've pre-tested the viability of an electric vehicle for that application with the Bolt, and it worked out pretty good underneath each one of the simulations where you got to drive it in the wintertime with it raining, the windshield wipers going, the heater going, the defrost going. And so he's been able to do that, no issues. There's been a couple times he's had to come here and charge up at lunchtime. But the new trucks that are making are coming with significant more range, so that shouldn't be an issue going forward when we purchase a new electric truck to replace that one eventually. So so he's had a good time driving around in the Bolt, and testing that out. So we validated that it won't be an issue going forward whatsoever. So it's going to be the perfect application for that vehicle.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thanks, Shane. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Okay, managers report.
my turn. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit out of order.
Okay.
But the stormwater ordinance, we've addressed that. The COVID-19, as you know, the mask requirements have been lifted. The state of emergency is set to expire at the end of this month. So more or less be operating back to normal. I think, all the quarantine rules are still in effect. So we'll still be trying to keep an eye on that and, hopefully won't have any issues. I'm going to skip the budget and get back to that later since that's going to be a longer discussion. Gold Hill, I met with the city manager over there and we were going to schedule to go out and meet with the city council, talk about extending the intergovernmental agreement we have with them. Was tentatively scheduled to do that next week, but now they're wanting to make some decisions on how they're going to proceed with the plant. So I'm getting pushed off again. So I don't have anything on the calendar right now, but that's certainly something that we want to get taken care of here in a relative near future.
Does he have any leanings that you can pick up on?
Any leads,
Leanings?
leanings?
We're gonna do it. I'll need you guys.
Sometimes I think I got it figured out and sometimes I don't. So I don't know for sure. The first thing he was going to try to do was to put the operation of the treatment plant out for bid. And I went over and talked to him after that and I said, we're not going to bid on a project. I mean, we'll do an intergovernmental agreement. This is kind of how we'll do it because we're not a for-profit. I mean, we're a government agency also. And that he wasn't aware of that. So that was part of it. I caught him a little by surprise. He's from California. He does, he's only been here a short time. So, he seemed open to the idea of extending the IGA, but I don't know, what the city's overall intent is. I know the thing that's really hard on this is they've got a tremendous amount of work that needs to be done with rebuilding. I'm assuming they're going to rebuild the plant, and it's hugely expensive. I mean, it's $5, $8, $10 million, something. And it's going to, unless they get unbelievable amounts of grants, which is unlikely. I mean, they're going to be looking at $100 a month sewer bills, no matter what. Whether we're involved or not. And I don't think that's sunken into anybody yet. and I've tried to make that point, pretty much every time I in contact with them, but I don't think they've quite grasped that reality. So they're looking to maybe save a few dollars on the contract with us, but that's irrelevant. I mean, it's really a drop in the bucket, and the amount of work that it's going to take and everything that's involved in it, it just makes a lot of sense for us to be involved, all the way through that. But I don't know. I mean, I can't. That's a thing that we can't make them care about it more than we can't care about it more than they're willing to care about it.
Carl, are they aware of the recovery funds that are available for capital improvements? Like other cities have been using in the last 10 months, we're using for the next 3 years.
Which one? The
recovery funds for capital improvement.
I think they are, they're working with the Infrastructure Finance Authority. They do the one-stop meetings where all the funding agencies get together and they try to put together the best kind of package they get, and Business Oregon's involved. So I think they're tapped into a lot of that. And yeah, I mean, hope, yeah, it'd be nice if they could get, you know, and the, what is it, the bipartisan infrastructure law, you know, there's a lot of money coming for that, but that doesn't come until the fall.
I'm surprised they're not involved with Soul 80 to assist them.
I think they are.
They are.
Yeah, I
Have
know.
been in the past, Mike, so-
Yeah, and they've been, you know, because they've done some stuff. Yeah, put out some contracts, I believe, for the water system. And they did the meeting in Business Oregon's there and Info Finance Authority's there and rural, you know, a whole bunch of groups.
Yes, it is. How you doing?
Oh, Jim's answering.
Okay, anyway, so they're
Level on the, shall we say, the muscle
but,
weak
you know,
side,
it's just
other than that,
the
we're good.
amount of money that's involved, you know, even the best financing deals you get, most of it's not going to be grants. You know, they'll get good interest
Will
rates
it come back already?
and that kind of stuff, but it's, like I said, you know, it's a town
Oh dear.
people,
What is it
and
this time?
you put a $6 million project on that, that's hard to pay for.
Pretty substantial.
Yeah,
Man, so they'd be twice as much.
Oh dear.
Oh,
So it's actually
four
growing
times
in
as much
in the
as
lab.
us.
so anyway,
Oh.
you know, I hope that by next month I'll have something much more definitive on this. And, you know, really, you know, it's their decision ultimately.
Uh-oh.
Hopefully they'll understand that they're much better served. Their customers are much better served if they're part of us.
Uh-huh.
We'll see. Just,
Well, you might want to just go ahead and put Jim on mute. You can do that.
Yeah. But,
go ahead, Roger.
Do you recall what the cost for them to put in a pump station and pump it to the regional?
It was about the same. It was,
uh,
once you factored in all the SDCs and everything else, it was around a $7 million project.
Okay, thank you.
So, you know, it was real close. And of course, you know, those cost estimates are who knows what now. I mean, that was
The only task I know they got left to do is the endoscopy, which
Carl, you
is,
can put Jim on
yeah.
mute
I
from
don't
your
have my
side.
calendar with me. I think it's Friday.
Right.
Or maybe it's Thursday.
There you go.
Oops. Yeah. Okay. Took care of that. Okay. The solar power work. If you remember, I've been talking to the Oregon Clean Power Cooperative, and they're interested in trying to put together a project out at Shady Cove that would offset 100% of our power use out at the treatment plant out there. Part of what we would need to do there is to get about 2 acres from the neighbor. I've been talking to the neighbor. He's agreeable to it. He's working with a planner right now, land use planner, to see how that would go. We haven't talked anything about money on that, so that's still up in the air. And there was some question last time about whether or not this consultant was wanting to put in battery packs, so that would be completely off grid potentially. And I told him that we had some serious concerns about that, so
Yeah.
he was going to put it together. He was going to, you know, give us a look at both with and without. So we'll be able to see,
Yeah.
be able to compare that. I did put together another slideshow if you want to learn more about the history of Rogue Valley Sewer, if we have time at the end. But the big one is the budget question. And so hopefully you've had a chance to look at it. I did a rate analysis.
You're really good at that.
I
mean,
practice.
You do numbers, yeah.
So I guess the crux of it is my recommendation is that we would have a $1 a month rate increase for our core area. It would be $1.25 in Shady Cove. I'm recommending that we pay off the 2013 bond issue series that we have. That was kind of a foregone. I mean, that was easy. That doesn't have much of an impact. The infrastructure finance money that's coming out there through DEQ, I'm not going to I'm not factoring that into our budget at all. But we are going to put in some applications because there is a possibility that some of our bigger projects, we could get a portion of that as loan forgiveness. So we could save quite a bit of money that way. Projects that we have, a couple of the stormwater projects that Jenny mentioned, we would throw in there. We've got a big trunk sewer out in White City that we want to do. That's like a $5 million project. And then we've got some significant improvements out at Shady Cove with our disinfection system. So that we would include also. So there's a chance that their limit is 50% of the project or 500,000, whichever is higher, whichever is lower. So we could get some of that back, but again, we're not going to build our budget based on that. If it happens, that'll be a bonus for next year. And then, so the big question really, it comes down to our labor expenses. And I do want to mention also, Jenny said that we did fill the stormwater tech position. We've also filled the staff engineer position that we have. So all our positions are filled now. It's actually a retread. It's Dashton Pechia, who used to work for us. Then he went to the Water Commission. Now he's coming back here in May 2nd. He'll be back. So we're happy about that. So what I've done, and it is, I've run a bunch of scenarios on, the different things we're looking at. And normally when I do this, all we're really looking at is what our capital budget is. So typically what I've done in the past is I'll say, if we have no rate increase, how much capital improvement plan can we have? And then I say, if we have the capital improvement plan that we want and no rate increase, how big of a hole do we bury ourselves into? And that's just kind of for illustration. And then I go and I say, if we have the capital improvement plan we want, how much of a rate increase will we need to support that over the next 5 years? And so I did that, but then I added a couple of other variables. I added the variable of whether or not we pay off the bonded debt. And then I added a variable about how much of a cost of living adjustment we would make this year. And I put in the 7.5%, which is what the consumer price index is for this year. We typically go January to January. And then I put in 4%. And the reason I chose that is because the most common, most of the labor contracts in this region, in this area that are tied to the CPI have an upper bound of 4%. So that's why I chose that percent. And what I've been able to show is that with that $1 rate increase, we could support the full 7.5% cost of living adjustment and all the staffing changes that we had proposed. So that is available, that's possible. I did try to go into some detail about kind of the history of how the cost of living is, how we've done it in the past. So, and just to kind of go over that again, I don't know what happened before 1995. I wasn't here. We didn't, that was the first year that we had a collective bargaining agreement. And that first contract had a minimum of 1% and a maximum of 3.75%. After that contract was renewed, it changed and it increased a couple of times, but at the end, it was up to a minimum of 2.5 and a maximum of 6. Mm-hmm. Now, the last contract that we had, we did away with that altogether. We didn't have any limits, upper or lower. Even though we had that, there was actually 1 year in that time period where there was a negative CPI and we didn't reduce anybody. Over the 21 years that we had those limits in place, there were 6 times where the CPI was so low that the minimum level was triggered. There was never a time when the maximum level was triggered. So basically, in over that time frame, we made cost of living adjustments equal to the CPI or higher because the minimum level was triggered. What else do I? So obviously, we don't have a collective bargaining agreement anymore. We're not contractually bound to do anything. So, what we have done traditionally is we have just said, continued with the process of, this is the consumer price index, and we will apply that to the cost of living for all the employees. Of course, it's never been 7.5% anymore. So that is a little bit of a wrinkle. And then I guess the other factor that should be considered is that we saw the pressure coming and the way the labor market was reacting, and we did a compensation study and some adjustments effective in January. So we've already done some of this.
Right.
That affected some, but not all employees.
Right.
So there's a little bit of a disparity there. So that's when I punt it back to you guys. And see, so
As well you should.
yeah, so I guess, what we're asking right now is we're trying to put together the budget proposal. And to do that, we need to put some number in there of what we're going to propose. Like I said, with that $1 rate increase, we could do the full thing if we choose to. It's there. That still puts us, quite significantly very low rates compared to the statewide average. So we've got that working in our favor. Anyway,
Okay.
I'm here to listen.
Okay, I have a question on table 6.1. Tax available for capital expenses with, that's page 15.
Okay, I'm gonna pull that up on the screen just so anyone zooming can also see that. Okay,
My question was, it says cash available for capital expenses with no rate.
with no, okay, so,
Because the next one says with no. Oh,
yeah,
that is
okay,
de-
so
deficit.
6.1, if we do no rate increase
Okay,
and we give a 7.5% COLA and do not pay off the debt, we would have $933,000 a year for the next 5 years to spend on capital. That's what I'm saying there.
oh, okay, I got you.
All right.
It got a little confusing for me, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so the next table is the next kind of scenario we ran it, that if we did the different COLAs and the different payoff debts and no rate increase, but did the full amount of capital that we intend to, we'd end up $6 or $7 million in the hole.
Yeah, well, we don't want to do that.
And then the last one is a little bit different. This is what, if we want to do the capital program we want, these are the rates that we would need to charge over the next 5 years to make that balance.
Was the debt we were paying off a longer than 5-year term?
The debt is 6 years. Yeah, it's due to be paid off in 2029, 28.
And if we pay it off now, we earn $200,000.
We don't spend $220,000 on interest that we would have otherwise.
Yeah.
So I guess that's earned.
That's what, to me, that's the same thing. as
Yeah, yeah.
$200,000. Because we're not spending it, so.
And that leads me to, in table 6.1, I would expect that paying off the debt, you'd have more cash available for capital expenses.
Because you're not making a payment anymore.
But you're making a big one right now. Let me get up there. I think it would catch up after another year or two. Like I said, the paying off the debt, I mean, it's $20,000 a year difference. It's like I said, it's almost insignificant as far as the 5-year cash flow.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
too far into you don't need
Yeah.
to resolve that.
Okay.
That's just my observation.
I know you said it earlier, but what does the dollar increase make the normal rate come to?
24,
Under which scenario? Under the,
If we're to go with the dollar.
if we, okay, so, yeah. So the way I calculate this is I do it kind of as a same percentage every year for the next 5 years. So we would go from $24 next year up to $28.45 in 2027, 5 years from now.
5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and, which still puts us in the basement as far as sewer rates in the state of Oregon. I want to be a little cautious because we talk about that a lot. But one of the reasons that our rates are low is because of our partnership with the city of Medford, and the treatment plant costs are really cheap out there. And we know that is changing, that they're in the midst of a facilities plan, and they're going to have to do some
and then
significant
that'll make
upgrades.
our rates go up.
So, yeah, I mean, it's, we're still going to be low, but I don't think we're going to be this much lower than the rest of the state. I mean, we're still be on the way on the low end, but we might not be the lowest once that happens.
Hey, Carl, so going back up to, why aren't you considering adjusting Shady Cove's rate proportionally?
I look at them separately. So what I do in Shady Cove, I do the same type of analysis. And I don't write it out as much detail, but I do the same cash flow analysis. And in Shady Cove, what we do is we take 75% of their rate that goes to the treatment plant, and the balance goes to our general fund for collection system. So we account for the treatment plant operations completely separate from our general fund. So I look at that just as the needs for the operation of the treatment plant. And it's, whatever it happens to require.
Okay.
So,
Because we pay into the Medford treatment plant.
right.
So it's instead of. So the Shady Cove treatment plant is.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, we consider the collection system in Shady Cove on par with everything else.
Yeah.
So that's part of our general fund operations, but the treatment plant is a separate operation. And the 75-25%, I mean, there's no rule to that. That just, that was kind of what it was when we first started doing it. We've kept with it for the next few years. I mean, we're not bound by that, but it seems to work.
Now, when we get a rate increase because of the work that needs to be done at the Medford treatment plant, that won't affect Shady Cove.
No, it will not.
So that there's another difference there
Yeah.
too, because they're pretty much locked in to what is actual for Shady Cove. Whereas the rest of us, with our partnership with Medford, we have that.
But you were talking about Shady Cove being just what, 25 cents, 50 cents more?
No, it'd be $1.25. So it's a bigger dollar amount, but a smaller percent.
But it's appropriate.
But we
Yeah.
don't do that with any other district. right?
No. And the reason we do that is just because it's a separate treatment plant.
Because our goal has always been to try to keep the rate the same.
Yes. Yeah.
So I
and-
wonder how much we losing if we charge Shady Cove the same increase as everybody else.
As a percentage or I mean, Shady Cove, they're paying $46 a month, whereas we're paying 23. I mean, so they're like twice the rate as the rest of the district.
It's basically, it is appropriate, like, because of there's still debt on the treatment
Yeah.
plant.
Yeah. And just,
Everything.
the operation of the treatment plant itself is much more expensive on
Yeah.
a per capita basis than it is at Medford.
So basically the two things that there's three things. The increased rate, what we want to do for the COLA for everybody. And then if we want to pay the debt off or
Yep.
not. So those are the three things that
Right.
you would like an answer for because you're working on the
Right,
budget.
and whatever you tell us today, we'll put that into the proposed budget. I mean, it still has to go before the budget
Right.
committee for approval and all that.
So we'll get a second chance to,
Well, I
Yeah.
like your proposal. I like the number you come up with based on facts and figures, and there's still someone on the conservative side. It makes sense to me to follow through on what you're proposing.
yeah, I'm good with the increase of $1 and $1.25 for Shady Cove.
Right.
I'm good with paying off the debt because I see that even though that's only $20,000 a month, I still see that is like if we have it, I still see that as money saved
Mhm.
in the long run. And you gotta look at the big picture too. The only thing that I'm a little bit concerned with is the COLA of whether to go with the 4 or the 7.5. And we discussed something else with that too,
Yeah,
and we could put that out there, but
Yeah.
I'm still a little concerned with doing the 7.5. Not that our employees don't deserve it, they work their little hinds off, but I have to keep looking at the big picture, everything. And the 4 point, I don't have a problem with that at all. And I know everybody's paying more for everything out there. But
You don't decide on one, you wanna, are you looking to decide on a span 4 to 7.5?
well, we have to put something in the budget.
there has to be a
Yeah.
number there.
So
5%.
He's gonna go to the middle. I love you, Mike. And that's an option. I guess.
I agree, 7.5 is too high.
And I know what the true inflation is probably twice as much as the 7.5. But.
Yeah.
I want to make sure. That I'm a little, yeah. For the same reason why I'm willing to pay off a debt, I'm also willing to not make the COLA so big.
I mean, do you want to talk about that other retirement thing that we talked about
Yeah, go
earlier?
ahead and do
Okay,
that.
Yeah.
These guys gotta hear that too.
right. So this is, we have a retirement account that applies only right now to management staff. And this is something that Chuck set up years ago. And
Which
it's
we
a,
need to change anyway.
yeah, we need to, I need to fix a few things on it no matter what. But it is a retirement health savings account. And the way that is set up is that all of us that are in the management positions have to contribute 3% of our salary into this retirement health savings account. It's tax-free going in, and the really nice thing is it's tax-free coming out. As long as you're using it for healthcare. So it is a nice addition, because if you're paying supplemental to Medicare or something like that when you're retired, you're getting that tax-free. Where was I going to go with that? Anyway, so you're probably aware, but we don't participate in PERS. So the retirement plans that we have is what we contribute and what the employees contribute to their own retirement. It's basically a 401k type setup. And so when they retire, they have what they have, and that's it. It's not like PERS where you've got a guaranteed monthly income. So, you know, it would be nice to find a way to increase it. The way it's set up right now is the company contributes 8.6% of an employee's salary into their retirement. The employee contributes 3%. If we wanted to, you know, with this COLA, you know, as a way to kind of split the baby a little bit, is to have part of that go into a, you know, expand that health retirement account to provide that for all the employees and not just the management. You know, and that way, I mean, it's still going to cost a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, still, if you're talking about, you know, 6% or 7% or whatever, but you know, there is a little bit of a savings because it's you're not having payroll taxes and on that part of it. So that's just a thought that I had.
And we discussed it a little bit because it's another benefit that a lot of places aren't able to offer. And it's, for some people, they could say, that's kind of cool. For some people, they would rather have the money now. But it's another option that we could look at. We need to change the wording.
Yeah,
anyway.
the way the agreement's set up right now, it says union and non-union, which is irrelevant at this point. So I need to update all the agreements that we have anyway.
Yeah, you probably
so-
should do that and bring it
Yeah.
to us next time. Or as soon as, you know.
Well, I mean, as you know, but I mean, as
Yeah.
far as working it into, you know,
Yeah,
if we
that's
want to give a COLA and make part of this go
Yeah,
into that, then that would.
That's true. But, so what do you guys think? Jim and Roger, and what do you think on the COLA situation?
I mean, I'm comfortable with the 4%. I mean, I could probably be okay with 5.
Tax when, you know. And I like the idea of paying for.
Yeah, I think we're paying, I mean, I think you're paying off the debt. Agree with that. Would you, I mean, if we only do 5%, 4 or 5%, we still have $1 a month raise, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
changed that.
I don't think I would change that.
So I think we're all good with $1 a year increase.
Yeah. I'm good with the increase. And
You gonna get Jim's input on the percentage,
yeah,
see where we are.
Oh, yeah, do you need to unmute him?
Hmm?
Do you need to unmute Jim?
No, I just checked. He was unmuted. Are you with us, Jim?
I'm back. I had to cancel out of the meeting for a little while when you first got started on this topic. I had an emergency call from my medical practitioner, and I'm going to have to head back to the hospital again for another admission. Doggone bacteria is back again. So I'll try to stick with the meeting here until it's over with, but I'll probably be in the hospital probably another week or so, like last time, and I'll probably be on infusion antibiotics for at least 6 weeks again, which is messing up my life. This is the 4th go around.
Yeah.
So anyway, just want to let you know that. I know I've been reading through the material before we had the meeting today, and I got, you know, of course, well beyond table 6.3. We started looking at other things, but my general inclination as a person, it doesn't mean I'm always right for every circumstance, but for example, less debt, the better. You're talking about canceling, paying off the debt. I hate to sacrifice the future for the present unless we're going to die, which we're not going to. So I hate to see the CIP get reduced from where it is. It kind of puts me in a quandary because when I look at all the tables of facts that you have later on, all I see is negative numbers for a lot of the end of year or beginning of the next year, which is not good. And of course, you have real problems about 5 years on. So the things I'm inclined to say are good things to do cause a lot of problems later on. And I don't know how we're going to get out of that. In the current situation for labor, everybody's having to pay more and do more inducements. So I'm kind of in that 5% COLA range as probably a decent solution to that. The amount that you want to raise the fees, however, just leave me in a real quandary because I don't see how they're enough, quite frankly, to stay out of problems years from now. So I'm just kind of in a real quandary here about how to go with all this, because all the things I think are good to do require increased fees. Everybody's paying more fees for everything these days. People are going to be unhappy. They're not going to like it. But on the other hand, it's just part of life. But I just don't know that the amount of the fees are going to solve the problem, unless you got some insights that I'm not getting out of the numbers in the tables. What do you think, Carl?
So when I run the numbers like that, I'm looking 5 years out and I'm targeting it to have a $0 ending fund balance at the end of 5 years. And so, typically depending on how the capital, because our capital program, sometimes there's more and less. That's why there's some negative numbers in those interim years. But, and I do that with the knowledge that we're going to, we do this every year. I go through the same exercise. So I'm targeting it out 5 years out to I guess it's a built-in buffer so that we don't try to adjust rates too much to make sure that we're positive for the whole 5 years for each year. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's a similar trick used in a lot of city budgets.
Yeah.
So I understand that part, but it just makes me queasy when I see large negative numbers for several years. And it makes me ask if the underlying assumptions are actually sufficient. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Okay, I don't think I included that this year. I actually went, I did. In Appendix D, I tried to go back and see, because we've been doing this enough that we can see if our assumptions are crazy or not. And let me scroll down to that.
You usually do pretty good.
And I was actually pleasantly surprised by how things worked out. So we get to there. So I mean, so these are the various assumptions that we've made and how they've actually, what the results actually came in. And there's some variation in it. It's hard, that's kind of small sprint, but if you look down in here, this is kind of where I like, so if you look at the one we did in 2011, you'll see that, our 5-year projections on revenues was off by about 3%, but our expenses off by 7%. And, that same kind of pattern emerged pretty much everywhere. There was a little bit of a spread between, our revenue assumptions were off, and we're obviously all the assumptions are going to be off by a certain amount, but we are always aired better. So we aired, so our revenues versus expenses was better on each one of them, and we're actually fairly close. So I think past performance doesn't guarantee future performance, or however it goes, but I think overall the assumptions that we've made have been fairly accurate.
Ray, Jim,
And I realize that when you're piloting the aircraft like this, that you're going to make adjustments as you go down the timeline, and then try to make it much better than your forecast of how bad it was going to be. So that's why we hired you. You're a good pilot.
Thank you.
yeah, for me, we're looking at reasonable numbers, and I think we all do anticipate there could be a change in the future, especially with the treatment plant issues. And so I think we all anticipate the numbers, increasing from that at some time. And I think we are able to make adjustments if we, in fairly short order, if we need to. And so I'm comfortable with the recommendation.
And how do you feel about the COLA? That's, Jim, how do you feel about the COLA? Did he? Is he still on?
Yeah, I think so. Jim, did you hear that question?
No, it's kind of like my head was in a barrel listening to the noise.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What was the basic question, if you could?
Jim, what I asked is what do you feel about the COLA? Because Carl put out there both a 4% and a 7.5% for the wages. So what do you think about that?
Well, as a number, 7.5 sounds large, but I think in today's environment, where we're seeing everything escalate, both inflation and labor costs, that 7.5 is probably reasonable enough at this point to do. So I'd be okay with it.
Okay, did you happen to hear the discussion that Mike and Roger and I had? Because I'm kind of going with the 4%. And then Mike said something about 5%. So I didn't know if you were able to hear that little.
Yeah, I understand that it could be lower numbers, but I don't have any tables here to see the consequences of, 5 or 5.5 or whatever other number. We've only got 4 and 7.5.
Right.
Right.
So I can't judge the consequences.
I'm ready to make some motions.
Can I make one statement or ask one question? Would you allow me to do that?
Yeah, I guess so, Mike.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carl, you essentially are the manager of the company. In essence, what you are here is the CFO,
Yeah.
proposing 7 possible ways you can go with going to the budget.
Mhm.
If your past performance shows that you are a well-positioned company and you wouldn't make any proposals that wouldn't keep you in that well-positioned situation. You, as the manager of the company, what is your strongest push? Because you have been here for 15 years, you positioned it very well for 15 years. I would value that as much as any of us.
What is my,
Time out. You need to be more specific with your question.
Yeah.
If you're asking him to give a recommendation on the COLA, I don't think that's appropriate.
Okay.
Because he's already-
Recommendation on the
he's-
scenario.
Oh,
No, I see 2
okay.
scenarios, 3.4 and 3.3. They're
okay,
essentially the same. One has a COLA of
Right.
7.5, has a COLA of 5. They both show a uniform rate increase. They both say a full CIP, and they both show payoff debt. So the only difference in the two is the COLA.
right.
Right.
You would, let me rephrase that question. You would feel as comfortable with a 5% or a 4.5% or a 4% or a 7.5 COLA. You would think that any 4 of those would maintain the company to be in a well position.
Yes. I mean, obviously, the higher the COLA this year, it would have a slight impact on the rates going forward. But I think that, the level of our rates right now, there's a lot of room to work with.
Okay.
And that we would be in no way causing any real detriment to our customers with, slightly higher
Or to the
rate.
company.
Or to the company, correct.
Thank you.
Okay, I understand why you asked that, Mike, but I, when I know how much work Carl puts into these things and how much thought, not just because of past, So I know that when he put 7.5, he was comfortable with that.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah, so I know what he's comfortable with.
Mhm.
I know what I am comfortable and not comfortable with. And that's what I was discussing. Roger, you had something more to say?
I'm just ready to make some motions.
Okay, go ahead and make a motion.
All right, I make a motion that we,
Before you do, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I think you can look back 20 years. I've been here over 20 years. We haven't had a 7.5 in the COLA.
Not since the early 1980s. Yeah.
I think it's too high. I realize that inflation and everything is going crazy right now, but I think we may have to get to that. But that's why I don't like the upper arm of that. Between your 4 and the 7.5. I just think it's, I think we can manage it. And we're still gonna be in the black and not be a problem that way. I just think it's too much. I mean, if I was an employee here, I'd be doing backflips to get a 7.5 increase.
I was always used to getting 10 cents an hour more, quarter.
Yeah.
But again, the type of work I did is totally different than the type of work most of our people here do too. So, and the times are different. So there you go. So anyway.
Yeah, we go ahead and make a motion.
Well, I guess I can just add one thing on that. You know, we talked about the union contracts on that. And the last time we had a union contract that had a limit, the cap was set at 6, if that has any bearing.
Yeah, and it actually does. I think a cap is appropriate. But I also think a minimum is appropriate as
Mhm.
well. So that might be something to discuss too, but Roger wants to make a.
let's get the simple ones done first. All right. So I'm moving for approval of a $1 a month residential rate increase in our core area and $1.25 for Shade Cove in one
So-
motion.
So
Okay.
this doesn't have to be a motion. We're just looking for a consensus because this is what we're going to build the budget. You're not actually approving anything today. You're giving, this is you giving me direction on how to build the budget.
All right, so you know where we're going with. our rate
Everyone's comfortable with $1 rate increase. Is
Rate
that-
increases, paying off
Yeah.
the bond, and then, I mean, I propose that we do the 5%. Does seem like unprecedented times for, inflation, and so I'm okay with 5%. That averages out the 2 5s, 4, and 7.5. How about that?
Right.
I'm good with 5 too. I mean, I think what it's the trying to be appropriate with funds, but also trying to be respectful of our employees at the same time. And, but if we're not appropriate with the funds that we have, then we may not have all the employees in the future because we might have to lay them off. Or might not be able to provide the services in the manner that our customers have become accustomed to. We've done a darn good job. And I just want to be able to keep doing that. And nothing says that, if inflation changes and it goes down to 1.5 next time, nothing says that we can't do another 4 point
Mhm.
or something. And like what we did in January, which was more or less in the middle of this budget,
Right.
we changed things again.
Yeah. And that in itself is a little bit unprecedented.
And and so, and I know that didn't affect everybody, but it did affect some. And so I think that's again where I'm a little bit resident, where I don't want to do the big one yet. I want to do. So I'm good with 5. Okay.
Are you still on there, Jim?
Yes, I am. If I'm hearing correctly, then the 7.5 has been reduced to a 5 consensus. Is that
That
what it
seems that's a consensus in the room here right now. Yes.
is? How about paying off debt?
The consensus was to yes, pay off the debt.
Okay. So those are the two decision points.
Right.
Okay, I'm good with both of those for now.
Okay. All right. We will use that to put together the proposed budget.
Okay.
Or-
Anything else?
That is all I have. You probably don't want a slideshow today.
Well, yeah, we do want,
We do want claims.
we want claims, that's what I was gonna ask for.
Yeah, I move we pay the claims.
Okay,
I will second that.
okay, it's been moved and seconded, roll call please.
Dave Harrison,
Yes.
Roger
Yes.
Trout, Mike Parker.
Yes.
Jim Snyder.
Jim's
Jim?
motion to pay off the claims, Jim?
Passes without his vote.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we can go ahead and adjourn.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Mike. Thanks, Jim.
Yep. Carl,
Yes?
considering I have this infection back again, the next time we have a meeting, I'll probably have to do it by Zoom. I'm only anticipating being in the hospital for 10 days, but then I'll be on antibiotic infusions and all kinds of damn stuff again. So I'll probably have to do it by Zoom next time.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, we'll have it available. At some point, we're trying to get quotes to rewire our building here to make it so I'm not the only person you can see. Kind of improve the,
Yeah, the kind of sound, when it's not you speaking, the audio sounds like my head's in a barrel and the sound is coming in and it kind
Yeah.
of echoes around.
I'll need to work on
I
it.
have I have that.
I'll try to get that fixed before next month.
Okay, so I'm probably going to head to the hospital later tonight.
Okay, well, yeah, keep us informed if you can.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. I'll
Yeah,
make sure
all right.
everything's okay.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Take it easy, Jim.